All right, let's talk about something that I'm pretty sure every single one of us has done. Getting stuck replaying old conversations in your head. We're going to break down exactly why our brains do this and, way more importantly, how we can finally get some peace and take back control. Does this sound familiar? You're just trying to work, or maybe fall asleep, and suddenly your brain decides, hey, remember that super awkward thing you said at that party 5 years ago? Yeah. Or maybe it's that argument you had last week. It's like your mind has a DJ and they're just playing your greatest, or worst, hits on repeat. And that's the key thing right there. This isn't productive reflection. You're not solving anything. It's a loop. It's a mental hamster wheel where you just run and run and run and end up absolutely nowhere, except, completely drained. If you feel like this, you are so not alone. And man, it is exhausting. Now, the very first thing I need you to hear is this. This is not a personal flaw. You're not broken because your brain does this. It's actually a feature of our human operating system, a really, really old one that's been coded into our DNA for a long, long time. So let's dig into that programming, shall we? This whole habit goes way, way back to our evolutionary past, a time when our actual survival depended on how well we got along with others. So picture it. Thousands of years ago, saying the wrong thing could literally get you kicked out of the tribe. And back then, being alone meant you were probably going to die. So our brains developed this super sensitive threat detection system. The problem is that exact same system is running today. But instead of scanning for life or death threats, it's treating social embarrassment like it's a saber-toothed tiger. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. That ancient wiring creates four main psychological triggers that really lock us into that replay loop. And once you can see them for what they are, that's when you can really start to break free. First up, our brains absolutely hate an open tab. They just can't stand it. When a conversation feels unfinished or ambiguous, our mind will just replay it over and over, trying to fill in the gaps. It's desperately trying to write an ending to a story that feels incomplete. The second reason, and this is a big one, is social anxiety. There's actually a term for it: post-event rumination. It's when you become a detective after every social event, and the crime you're investigating is something you're convinced you did wrong. The more you worry about what people think, the harder your brain works to find evidence of your mistakes. Now, for some people, it goes even deeper. It's less about anxiety and more of a mental compulsion, kind of like what you see with obsessive-compulsive tendencies. It's all driven by this nagging doubt, that little voice that says, "Are you sure you said that right? You'd better check again. Just one more time." And finally, number 4, good old perfectionism. That little inner critic who's never, ever satisfied. You could have a great conversation, but if you stumble over one word, that's all your brain will focus on. That relentless feeling of, "I should have said that better," is basically premium fuel for an endless replay loop. Okay, so that's the why. But understanding it is half the battle. Now for the good part, the how. How do we actually stop this thing? Well, here's a simple but honestly super powerful 3-step toolkit to get you off that mental treadmill. But first, a quick reality check. The point here isn't to become a robot who never thinks about the past. No way. The goal is to just stop the painful, repetitive, obsessive part that just steals all your energy and peace of mind. All right, here's the toolkit. It's just 3 steps, super easy to remember. First, you're going to label it. Second, you'll schedule it. And third, you'll ground yourself. Let's break down how each one of these works. Step 1, label it. Now, this sounds almost too simple to work, but trust me, it's a game changer. The second you feel that loop starting up, just calmly say to yourself, okay, I'm ruminating again. See what that does? By naming it, you're not lost in the thought anymore. You're the person observing the thought. And that tiny bit of distance is where you get your power back. Okay, step 2 is a little weird, but it's my favorite. Schedule it. Instead of fighting your brain, you're going to manage it. You just say, "Hey brain, I hear you. You want to worry about this? Cool. Let's pencil it in for 4:30 p.m. for 10 minutes. What's wild is that by the time 4:30 rolls around, the urge is usually gone. You're showing your brain who the boss is. And finally, step 3, ground yourself. This is your emergency brake. It's a total pattern interrupt because your brain literally cannot be obsessing about the past and be fully focused on the present at the same time. So do it right now. Feel your feet on the floor. Name one thing you can see. What can you hear? Boom. You've just pulled yourself out of your head and back into the real world. When you put all these tools together, what you're really doing is something much bigger. You're building a kinder, more compassionate relationship with your own mind. You're actually changing how you talk to yourself. And this is so important. Please let this one sink in. So much of this replaying comes from being hard on ourselves, but you are not your mistakes. You're not that one awkward moment. Those are just tiny little snapshots in time. They are not the whole movie of who you are. So the real work here isn't just about stopping an old thought pattern. It's about starting a new one. The practice of learning to be kind to yourself, even when your brain is being its own worst critic, that's the real skill.